What's up, everybody? It's Dennis, back at it again. It's been a while since I've talked about anything, so I'm gonna do a little topic of discussion today, talking about the market, housing, real estate, stocks, jobs. Are we about to hit another recession? We about to go to war? What's going on? I feel like a lot of people that graduated in my year, especially. Like we've just been hit with uncertainty since the day we graduated college, with like the pandemic going on, um, now this war, the stocks dropping recently. There's just a lot that's been going on. So I kind of want to delve into these topics, um, and talk about how some of these things might be a good thing, how some of these things might be a bad thing, for the young workforce out there. So starting off, I want to talk about the housing market because I don't know about y'all, but me personally, I've been looking at buying houses for a long time now. Probably like honestly since the pandemic started, like about a year or two since I entered the workforce, have I been looking for a home. And consistently throughout the pandemic, the rises of price, the prices of houses have been rising consistently. Now like the homes that you could find for like 250K are worth 350K. So that's like a significant increase. That's almost 50%. I'd say that's probably like what, 30%, 35, something around there. But that's like a crazy increase on the housing market. Overall, Florida as a whole, I think the statistics I found said it was a 28% increase, for just the housing market alone in Florida, which is one of the highest increasing markets in the entire nation. Typically, on average, housing markets should only appreciate about 3%, 2 to 3%, maybe 4 if it's like a good year. That's typically how it is with the rest of the nation. But Florida increased about 28%. Since the pandemic, it's been about 40, 50% total. So a lot of crazy things going on with the market. Fed rates for housing mortgages have been at an all-time low, with interest rates being around like 4%, for like people that like just entered the job market with new credit scores. So like some of the lowest rates that we've ever seen. So it's very appealing to new home buyers to get a mortgage with such a low interest rate because you have to pay less monthly. However, it can become an issue if you're just looking at the monthly payments for a house that you're living in. Let's say you buy a house at 350K with a 3% interest rate. Yes, it's more affordable in certain instances, but if the market crashes, then your house loses value. So you lose money on the asset that you thought you purchased, and it becomes a liability very quickly. You could lose like about 100 grand on it, depending on where the market ends up. And just like any market, we see swings up and down, especially in the Florida market because it's a very, very general hotspot for like investors, house flippers, rental properties, people moving in from other nations, migrating from other states. There's just a lot going on. Everyone loves Florida. Who doesn't, right? We got the beaches, Disneyland, Mickey Mouse, all that good stuff. So since the pandemic, we've seen a huge influx of people coming to the state of Florida because of how like free the state is, basically, with like COVID restrictions. I mean, generally speaking, it's been a tax haven. Donald Trump has his houses here. A lot of New Yorkers have their houses here, so they can claim it as a primary residency, so they have lower income tax. Property taxes are relatively cheap here. Just generally speaking, like Florida is a pretty cheap place to live. So a lot of wealthy people like coming down here. A lot of wealthy people like buying investment properties down here because it's, generally speaking, a safe place to keep your money. But when a lot of people come down here, let's say there's 10 houses on the market, 9 people come at the same time, that means there's only 1 house left. So what we've been seeing is a very low supply in the housing market, where people are buying houses out quicker than expected. Something else that's kind of played into this is like a lot of the government forgiveness and the government influx of like cash into the market with different stimulus packages that they've been applying. During COVID, we had like 3 stimulus packages, where people that might not have been able to afford a house previously now might be able to afford a house with the extra money they have from the stimulus package. The low interest rates, even though the cost of the house is more expensive, a house with more expensive house with a lower interest rate can still sometimes be cheaper than a cheaper house with a higher interest rate because you have a greater monthly payment to pay on it. But this can be a huge problem because people who thought they were ready to take that step to purchase a home, as soon as the rate starts going up, which is what the Fed plans on doing, whether it's going to be in a day, in a month, etc., or postponed because of the war that's going on, or the invasion, whatever you want to call it. And when that happens, a lot of the people who have unfixed loans through banks are going to have to increase their monthly payment as well, which might lead them to not be able to afford it anymore. So recently, some of the statistics that I've seen is Florida has some of the highest foreclosure rates since like this year, since January, as well as last year, and rates continually keep going up. Something else that we've seen is increasing unemployment rates within the nation, especially in Florida. So not only are people foreclosing their homes, but it also appears like a lot more people are losing their jobs or claiming unemployment. So all that good stuff that the government tried to do with the stimulus to prevent a recession is now coming to an end as those stimulus fundings have stopped, the low mortgage rates have stopped. It's slowly coming to an end, and we're starting to just now see the beginning of a new era where things might not be as good as they were in 2021 and 2020. That said, we're about to enter a whole new world, I think, especially with the invasion going on. There's also, I'll try to see if I can add pictures of it, but charts of the stock market throughout different invasions within history. And almost every time we have an invasion, the stock market crashes and then goes up. So if you're into stocks, start buying stocks. As soon as you start seeing the dip, buy the dip. Let's go. Stocks only go up. So generally speaking, with all that I just said so far, I think that we're going to be in the midst of a huge real estate bubble, especially in Florida and certain parts in particular, especially because another thing to add on is that there's going to be new builders that are going to be creating new homes. So new homes are going to be built to shorten the lack of supply. So there's going to be more supply and less people trying to move to Florida, since people are already seeing it as expensive. So when we have more houses being built, more houses going up for sale because of the panic that starts from like the war and the market crashing and all these different things, people are trying to sell it off as quickly as possible, sometimes even accepting lower rates or lower prices for their homes, whereas previously we saw cash buyers like pay 15 to 20% more for homes, which is like way overvalued for what they're getting. We're going to see like lower house prices. So real estate market crash with those different variables that I said. I'll try to like put some pictures in this video if possible. Something else to consider as well is something called the Dodd-Frank Act. This was implemented back in 2010 under Obama's presidency as a way to help regulate loans to make sure like kind of the economy can recover. And then recently, under Donald Trump's presidency, the Dodd-Frank Act has been partially repealed, where not all banks have to follow these regulations anymore. So that could also play a role into a potential market collapse that helped previously correct the previous recession. So with unemployment going up, foreclosures going up, like a standstill market right now, the invasion going on in Ukraine, the market crash, no more federal stimulus or federal funding coming into the market to help support it, increasing inflation, increasing rents as per usual, still the same salaries. People aren't getting paid anymore to keep up with the cost of living. Gas is like $3.50 now. Food has been increasing. Everything's just been increasing. People are still getting paid the same. Houses are being foreclosed. I think we might very well be on the brink of another recession. If not a recession, at least a housing market crash, a market crash. pretty much like an everything bubble. We're in the middle of an everything bubble where everything has skyrocketed to new heights, and all this uncertainty that has happened within the past few months with with rate hikes for mortgages, with the invasion in Ukraine. There's just so much uncertainty going on that it looks like we're seeing the same thing that has happened back in 2007, 2008, where the housing market collapsed and we entered a recession now. Something else to note is every 100 years or so, the economy goes through cycles. And I'm not an economist by any means. This is just like things I've done for my own research and kind of pieced together. Every X amount of years, there's different kind of bubbles that happen. So like every 10 years is going to be like a stock market crash. Every 20 years is going to be like a housing market crash. Every 100 years or so, there's an everything crash. And back in like, I think it was like 1930 something, there was a huge crash that crashed the stock market, causing the stock market low-key to still recover from those prices today. And a lot of other things that have crashed during that time, as well as housing. So history tends to repeat itself, as we know from, you know, everyone's history classes. No one's really been doing much to make sure that those things don't happen again. Yes, you can make the argument that like banks are regulating mortgage, or lenders are regulating mortgages better now because they're like more strict about who they're giving mortgages to. If that's the case, then why are foreclosures going up as soon as like stimulus packaging stopped? I think everything is very much so based on people, as well as like the top 1%, because that's where most of the wealth is held. So depending on where the top 1% of the nation moves and what they plan to do with their money, whether they tend to sell all their investment properties to make a quick flip, make a quick buck, or sell off all their stocks to people buying in, causing everything to crash, could potentially happen. Interesting stuff for everyone that's my age that has no idea what the hell is going on and just wants to buy a house and live life without all this shit that we have going on. But, you know, welcome to the real world, as they say. That's all I have for you guys today. I'm gonna try to post more content. I know this was kind of like more like serious, like economy type shit. I'm gonna try to do a little bit more of this. I like talking about all different things. So I'm gonna just start posting a barrage of videos on different topics. But hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think down below. Peace.